Hi, it's Dr. George Yancey. Let's shatter some paradigms. And the paradigm I want to shatter today is on Christianophobia. Now you may be asking, what is Christianophobia? Well, Christianophobia basically is an unreasonable fear or hatred of Christians. And in the United States, that has tended to be of conservative Christians. Why is this a paradigm? Because the paradigm has generally been that Christians are the majority group. And as such, prejudice against them doesn't really matter. I've been doing research on this topic for about a decade now. And I can tell you that it does matter. I'm not saying it's the most important thing that matters, but it does matter. And I hope in this video, this short video, I want to show you that it does and why it does. All right, so let's move on. By the way, the information I'm about to talk to you is in a book that I have called So Many Christians, So Few Lions. You can, I'll put a link so that you can click on it if you want to order it or look it over. It is an academic book, so it's been peer reviewed, so you can take that for what it is. Why did I name that book So Many Christians, So Few Lions? Good question. Let me try to answer that. When I was doing research, what I did was I looked at about 4,000 respondents who I had reason to believe had some level of anti-Christian animosity. I asked them open-ended questions. Among the answers were answers such as this, and these are the answers that made me think that this was a good title for this book. My favorite bumper sticker: so many Christians, so few lions. Bring back the lions. Not enough lions. They've abandoned their Christian views for a political position. I wish we could start feeding them to the lions again, or burn them at the stake. Feed the lions. Feed them to the lions. So many Christians, so few lions. Now, that got me thinking. So I actually did a Google search. I did find bumper stickers that said, so many Christians, so few lions. I found men's shirts, women's shirts, mugs, cups, even baby onesies that said, so many Christians, so few lions. Now, I've done it recently, and I think that they've tried to finally figured out that this was not a good product to sell. But at that time, that was a saying that actually went around. People were actually wearing it. So I titled the book, So Few Christians, So Few Lions. So many Christians, so few lions. Okay, so why is it all important? What's a few people making a dumb joke? Well, it was only a few people making a dumb joke, not very important. I agree. But it wasn't that. Among those 4,000, and not all of the 4,000, but among those nearly 4,000 respondents, there was a lot of very vicious, dehumanizing statements. I'm just going to show you a few of them. And once again, I'm not saying all nearly 4,000 people made such statements, but enough of them did that this was a very real issue. So here's some more quite disturbing statements that were among the respondents. I want them all to die in a fire. Churches and houses of religion should be designated as nuclear test zones. Kill them all. Let their God sort them out. We'll have to give them all a frontal lobotomy. Line them up and shoot them. The only good Christian is a dead Christian. Very disturbing statements. That sentiment is what I think can fairly be called unreasonable hatred and anger at Christians. That is Christianophobia. Now, the next question you should ask is, okay, you admitted that you sought out people who do not like Christians. Do you have this specialized sample of these intense hatred bigots? Or is this a more common problem? So, back in 2016, when I was doing this, there was this question called a thermometer question, where you rank from 0 to 100 how much you hated or liked a group. So what I did was I looked at responded, and I saw, did they rank Christians significantly below the average rankings of all other groups? And they asked about conservative Christians. Did they rank conservative Christians significantly below the average of other groups? I also saw that Muslims were part of the rankings. So I measured that too. Did they rank Muslims a standard deviation below other groups? What I found out was basically this percentage of people who rank Christians exceptionally lower, conservative Christians that is, ranked Muslims lower. So if we're concerned about Islamophobia, should we not be concerned with Christianophobia? Since the level of hatred, at least in 2016, was about the same. I suspect that since that point in time, the hatred for Christians has grown more than the hatred for Muslims. And some of the research I've seen, some of the data I've seen, suggests that this is true. Okay, but who? Who are these people? Maybe they're a bunch of powerless people who can't do anything. So why should we care if they have this sort of animosity towards Christians? So using that data, I compared people who rank Christians significantly lower than others to who believed the Bible was the Word of God. So that was my comparison. Here's what I found. Among those who believed the Bible was the Word of God, compared to those who had anti-Christian hostility, you can see that a high percentage of those with hostility are male, a higher percentage are white, a higher percentage have a bachelor's degree, a higher percentage make more than $100,000 a year. Now, let me just say something. In academia, a sociologist will look at whites, males, wealthy, highly educated people as part of the majority group. People with more power than others. Going back to this, we can see that they also are more likely to be politically liberal and are less religious. Now, it is kind of disturbing to me as a Christian that only 30% of the Christians who believe the Bible is the Word of God attend church weekly. But that's a topic for another day. These individuals are progressive, don't tend to be religious. What I suspect and know is that people who are not religious and progressive tend to go into cultural creation institutions, such as academia, the media, the arts, entertainment. People who hate Christians are more likely to have power and more per capita power in cultural creation institutions than Christians. They can shape the cultural narrative much more easily than Christians can. That's very important because that indicates that as Christians, we are unlikely to defend ourselves in the culture against the onslaught of people with Christianophobia. This is why this is important. We will not fully understand the culture, not fully understand our society, unless we also take into consideration anti-Christian bigotry. I am not saying it's the most important bigotry out there, but I am saying it is out there, and it does have ramifications. Just one example of ramifications. Some colleges are using what's called an all-comers policy. That means that they're saying that student clubs cannot discriminate in their leadership based on race or religion or things of this nature. Sounds good, but if you want a Christian club, and you want Christian leadership, you can't discriminate according to all-comers policy. Some court cases at the University of Iowa have shown that the administration basically targeted this policy at Christians, and then when caught, then decided to target it to religious people in general, and were caught again. We would call that disparate impact if we're looking at racial issues. It's no less disparate impact when it comes to Christians. Does this break a few paradigms? The paradigms that Christians are always the ones in charge, that they can't be victims of systematic bigotry, systematic discrimination. I have some other videos that look at this more specifically in the media and in academia. And I encourage you to go look at those videos if you want to learn more about this. But in the meantime, I hope you'll come back. You know what I want. Please like this video if you like it. Comment on it. Whether you like it or not, comment on it. Consider subscribing. I sure appreciate that. And tell other people about what I'm presenting. Thank you. And come back again and we can shatter some more paradigms.